Roman Catholicism is an ancient religion with many complexities. It's easy to get confused by its traditions and history. This is especially the case when looking at their places of worship. Buildings such as basilicas, cathedrals, and chapels may all sound similar but differ greatly upon closer inspection. This video will attempt to classify and explain these places of worship. A parish church is the most common kind of church in Roman Catholicism. A parish church is the home of a parish priest, or pastor if you're in America. A parish church gets its name due to being the spiritual and administrative headquarters of a parish. For those of you that don't know, a parish is the lowest level of administration in Catholicism. Usually a parish is a geographical area the size of a large neighborhood in cities, and sometimes comprising whole towns and more rural areas. However, a parish can also comprise of a nationality or linguistic group who form a minority population somewhere, such as a Japanese-speaking parish in Rome. A parish church is where residents of a parish go to attend Mass on Sundays and take part in important life events such as weddings and baptisms. It is the core of spiritual and cultural life for Roman Catholics and usually doubles as a community center. It should be noted that Catholics are not required to only pray at their parish church, and they can pray at any Catholic church they want to. However, Catholics must conduct more important matters such as weddings or baptisms at their parish church, unless permission has been granted by their parish priest. Any place of worship inside a parish that is not the parish church is generally referred to as a chapel, or more formally called an oratory. Usually the primary purpose of a chapel is to provide a non-permanent place of worship for people who can't access their regular parish church. The most common examples would be chapels at an airport, hospital, prison, or college. Chapels can be divided into three broad categories: public, semi-public, and private. As the name suggests, a public chapel must have access points to a public road and be open to everyone. A semi-private chapel is a place of worship in a more restricted area, such as a hospital, airport, or even a ship. A semi-public chapel must still be open to anyone who has access to the restricted area it's in, though. Lastly, the rarest form of the three categories is a private chapel. Private chapels are erected in private residences, and were much more common in the palaces and castles of medieval Europe, where nobility could pray without mingling with the masses. The wealthy, keeping to themselves in private places of worship, is generally frowned upon by the Vatican now, and this practice is discouraged. To build a private chapel, you will now need direct permission from the Pope. This permission is usually only granted to sick and injured individuals who can't leave their homes to attend their regular parish church. The Pope has also granted bishops the right to establish private chapels for themselves. Another reason you might want a private chapel is if you're a Catholic diplomat living in a country that has outlawed or restricted your religion. In that case, the host country would usually grant permission for you to build a private chapel in your embassy, as long as it wasn't open to the public. These were known as embassy chapels and are much less common today. A more recent example would be the former chapel at the Italian embassy in Afghanistan. The next level above chapels and parish churches is a cathedral. A cathedral is the headquarters of a diocese. A diocese is the level of administration above a parish and comprises of multiple nearby parishes. A diocese is headed by a bishop who headquarters himself in a cathedral. Generally speaking, you will only find one or two cathedrals in small to medium-sized towns. Cities with large populations are usually divided into multiple dioceses and to have multiple cathedrals. In Europe, cathedrals are often the centerpiece of towns, and many claim to have the bones of saints to attract pilgrims. You can think of a cathedral as the middle management centers of Catholicism. Contrary to popular belief, a cathedral does not need to be a grand architectural spectacle. Any church run by a bishop is usually called a cathedral, even if the structure is small and simple. Cathedrals are divided into a few subsets, indicating their level on the Catholic hierarchy. For example, a metropolitan cathedral is the head church of a large and important city and its surrounding area. It is headed by an archbishop or metropolitan bishop who will oversee the surrounding diocese. The term basilica can be applied to other places of worship, such as parish churches and cathedrals. The title of basilica is granted by the Pope to churches with a special importance. Churches are granted the honor of being a basilica due to possessing important architectural, historical, or spiritual significance. There is roughly 1,800 basilicas in the world today. Basilicas are divided into two subcategories. The overwhelming majority of basilicas fall into the first category, known as a minor basilica. The quickest way to tell if the church you're in is a minor basilica is to look for this yellow and red colored silk curtain, formerly called an umbra column. Every minor basilica will have an umbra column to the right of its altar. The second category of basilica is known as a major basilica. Only 4 major basilicas exist in the world, all of which are located in Rome. They are called major basilicas because of their great importance to Catholic history and connection to the Pope. Of these 4 major basilicas, one is also called an archbasilica, the only one in the world to have this title, and it is considered the mother church of all Catholics. The archbasilica is the seat of the Bishop of Rome, aka the Pope. Like minor basilicas, major basilicas will also have umbra columns to the right of their altars, but in major basilicas, they will be made of gold and red velvet. Like basilicas, a titular church is an honorary title that can be bestowed upon any place of worship by the Pope. Each titular church is assigned a cardinal, who acts as its ceremonial head and patron. All titular churches are located in Rome, and there is approximately 160 of them. A titular church will display their cardinal's personal coat of arms. Before modern travel infrastructure became widespread, conducting a pilgrimage was much more difficult and dangerous. Individuals from all over the world flocked to Rome on pilgrimages despite the costs and risks involved. To aid these pilgrims in their journey, organizations representing specific nationalities were created. Wealthy individuals from these countries would help finance and run these pilgrimage organizations in Rome, which eventually evolved into what are now called national churches. Today, a national church is more of a ceremonial title given to churches in Rome that represent a country. And that concludes today's video. Thank you for watching. Please keep in mind, I did not cover every single kind of Catholic place of worship, such as monasteries. In a future video, I may go more into depth on places like that. But for now, thank you for watching, and please stay tuned for more videos where I will cover topics on history, religion, and politics. Thank you, and goodbye.